Okay, we're going to continue on our media availabilities here this morning. We are now joined by Jimmie Johnson, driver of the number 48 Lowe's Spring is Calling Chevrolet. Early in the season, Jimmie, but you still don't have a win. 5 wins here at Auto Club Speedway. Talk about going for the win this weekend and hopefully getting that spot in the chase.
Yeah, this on?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's a good track for us, so it would be great to get the win and get ourselves locked in the chase. But you know, I think we're in a good spot. We've been very competitive. We've had a shot to win a couple races. You know, Bristol isn't our best racetrack, and unfortunately we had that tire issue early. But I still had a great car and a lot of fun in the race, and you know, left there with a very good impression on where our cars are and where we're going with things. So we'll get out there today and see how things go, and hopefully get to that final grouping for a shot at the pole today, and then obviously get out there tomorrow and work on our race stuff. So all in all, things are well, and we'll hopefully get a win before long.
Great, thank you. We're going to go ahead and open it for questions. We'll also ask if you can please keep your conversations to a minimum while we're conducting these press conferences. It goes for the back room as well, please. Thank you. Please wait for the wireless mic. State your name and affiliation. Okay, we don't have a wireless mic. We'll start over here with Claire. Claire, go ahead.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Last week when your tire shredded and Chad made the comment on the radio, something like, I suppose that's our fault too or something. What was that all about? Was that something, we all heard it, but was that something you took like he was saying it to you, or he was saying it to everyone, or he was just frustrated?
Definitely frustrated. And then if you know, you look at how things transpired from there, when Goodyear had a chance to respond, it was our fault. And that's what Chad was preparing us for, that of course it was going to be our fault. And I even went in the truck and sat down and talked with Rick Campbell. And I get along with Rick great. We had a great conversation about the wear on the tire and what potentially could have happened. And you know, from a team standpoint, we're still very adamant that the wear on the tire was not the issue. You know, a lot of guys had left front wear and issues with the left front and some stuff going on there, but we're very confident. And the tire was still intact. It's just a half-inch strip came unwound from the inside corner of the tire, and it was some 60 feet long. I mean, we laid it out from the front of the truck all the way to the back of the trailer, and we could see every wear hole on it, and it wasn't worn out. So that's all Chad was, you know, kind of referencing, is that it would be our fault in the end, and it was blamed as our fault.
Did you get any answers that made you feel better about it from Goodyear?
You know, at that point, there's not a lot you can do, but you know, we just try to learn from it and try to give them the tire and all the information we can so they can make a better product. You know, they tested there in October or something last year, and the temps were far different, and it became apparent to everybody early in practice that, you know, the temps weren't the same, the tire wasn't acting the same. So it's not an easy job that they have, but I think we can come back with a little better tire there.
Okay, I want to go over to Lewis Frank.
I'm going to stand up because I'm blocked by the photographers. Jimmie, Lewis Frank, Reuters. At one point, a lot of drivers have been talking about, you know, getting that win and getting locked into the chase. At what point do you and Chad start to get a little antsy about not getting your first win of the year?
It's not even close to time yet. You know, when you look at the stats, you know, 16 different winners in a year, it's a pretty rare occurrence. I still think that points are every bit as important as they've been until you get to Homestead. Even when you get into the chase itself, the top guy in points will advance in pretty much every scenario, or every scenario, even the final one to race at Homestead. So points are still the focus in what I'm looking at, and we've been able to win multiple races a year with a certain mindset, and I'm not going to chase home runs. I'm looking at a smooth and consistent 26 races, and you know, when we get a look at a home run, we're going to swing for it, but we're not stepping up at the plate every time trying to hit it out.
Two separate questions, Jimmie. First one, they made this race shorter a few years ago and made the racing better. What are your thoughts on making some of the racing that's 500 miles and the rest of the season a little shorter?
It's a great idea, and maybe 25 races a year would be really good. 30 maybe.
Another one is that the etiquette of on the last, I said the last final restart, We had controversy last year with Joey Logano and Tony Stewart. Not to talk about that incident, but what is the etiquette when taking that final restart and keeping someone behind you if you're starting in second place?
You know, the final restart, it's all out the window. I mean, I think etiquette comes into play earlier in the race, and there's a little bit more of a give and take scenario, but that final restart, I'm not expecting anybody to cut me any slack. And I'm certainly not, you know, that's not going to cross my mind with a guy in front of me. You know, it's out the window, and it's time to get the best finish you can.
We'll go to Dustin, then the other side of the room.
Dustin Long, MRN.com. Jimmy, you talked about maybe they can come back to Bristol with a little bit better tire. The direction they went with the tire falling off like that, was that in a good direction, or what needs to be learned from last week that can carry over not only to that track but maybe potentially to other tracks down the road?
Yeah, I didn't test there for Goodyear, and all I can go off of is just my opinion, so it's nothing to write home about. But the thing I can see is in Saturday when the temperatures came up, the track laid rubber and tire wear got a lot better, especially the left sides. The right sides were holding up fine. The left sides weren't laying rubber down, and you could see that white ring around the bottom of the racetrack, and we were all running so low and it would wear that left side tire out. And the tire was almost rolling up and leaving marbles all around the track, except for that warmer Saturday practice session, the second one we had. And come to find out, the test session, it took a while for rubber to lay down, and when the track temperatures came up and the test session heated up, the track finally took rubber. So there's something in the compound that I would suspect it's in the compound, and the temperature where the track will accept the rubber versus ball up, if that makes any damn sense at all. So
We're going to go Tom, Brian, Nate, Holly.
Jimmy, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com, back in the cheap seats here. You've got 5 wins here at Auto Club Speedway, most of any active driver. What's your secret for being so successful here? Why are you and the team so good here?
I think our team has done well on kind of low grip level racetracks, and this track's in that category and pretty high on that list today's standards, you know, and that's usually been good for us. So hopefully we've got that magic once again. You know, the character in the track continues to change, and the bumps last year especially were, you know, as big as I've ever seen them. The paving seams are very sensitive to run your right side tires on. We've seen that in the NASCAR vehicles and also in IndyCar. So I think those challenging elements are good for the 48.
Brian Nelson, MRN. Jimmy, so looking at the standings, Kurt Busch is 31st, and Truex is back there with him. You got Tony up in 23rd, and Boyer's right behind him. I know it's early in the season, but do points matter at all anymore with the win and you're in thing? Is that enter in as a part of your strategy, or is it simply about winning? Do you care about points?
I absolutely care about points. I think that it's a pretty rare situation to have 16 different winners in 26 races, and there will be people transferring into the chase based on points. And then even, you know, if you look at 3 races and how many spots are available in the second segment and the third segment, the points leader or the highest person in points without a win is going to transfer. So absolutely, points are still very important until Homestead. Then it doesn't matter.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Actually, it does matter, but talk to the other one right time. So if I can get you to think big picture about your team owner, next week is 30 years since his first win, and it occurs that there might not be another pro team owner in pro sports that has had such a long, consistent run of success. If you had to explain like what makes Rick Hendrick so good at keeping that kind of group together and having that kind of success, like what is it? Like what do you think that formula is for him?
I think it's a couple things. One, his love and passion for cars is, you know, second to none. He has an automotive empire and then his racing stuff, and they really play off of one another. I know a lot of other successful businessmen diversify and have many other interests and things that keep them busy, but Rick is a car guy, and I think there's a lot of weight in that. And then the other aspect is the man that he is, and people want to work for him, and they show up and do the best that they can. They treat our company like it's theirs, due to Rick's personality and who he is as a man. So I'd put it in those two categories.
Alan, Holly.
Alan Cavana, NASCAR.com. We've heard in the past a lot of teams, after race 5, we've been to every kind of racetrack. They'll kind of assess how their season's going. Do you as a driver, as a team, make any formal assessment? Hey, now we've been to these 5 different tracks. How's our year going to go?
We do, and we're ready for the next 5. If we showed up at all, except Daytona, we showed up at 4 of the 5 pretty far off, especially off the truck. And we didn't test as often as we would have liked during the off season to understand this new rules package. And we've been playing a bit of catch up. So when I look at our progress from Friday practice session to Sunday race, or the Thursday that we had in Las Vegas, we've covered a lot of territory at every track, Bristol included. So the next 5 are going to be real good races for us. If we can come off the truck, how we kind of start a race, I think we'll be in that race winning window.
Holly.
Holly Kane, NASCAR.com. 2 questions. The first one, can you talk a little bit about your week here? Do you get to go down to San Diego area and do you have a lot of friends coming up for the race? What is it like? And secondly, the guy that wins gets booed a lot in a lot of places, but this is your home track. Do you kind of feel like you can come here and feel a little bit more love when you're here?
Definitely, and it's for sure our best souvenir sales. If you look at any track, we come home and we see it on all fronts, from cheers to licensed merchandise selling at the truck. So it's great to be home and feel that love for sure. And then this trip out, I've not been to San Diego. We're going to do that before the Sonoma race when we have our golf tournament. So I came out yesterday and did some media in LA and took advantage of being out here in this market and then just kind of hanging out.
Last question over here.
Brian Belansky from RPM Radio. 2 questions. How much of being home is a distraction, and how do you get around that? And then the second question is, now that we're 4 races into the season, is there anything that surprised you as far as the season goes, maybe with the new point system or how things have played out with the different changes that we've had since last year?
Over the years, I've learned how to deal with being home, and family and friends who've, at this point, have been to enough races, and kind of the shine is off of it, and everybody cuts me some slack. But the surprising thing for the year would be how complicated the setups are on the car, and some minor changes in the rules, and at least in the wordage of in the rule book and what we're allowed to do with minimum ride height in that particular area has completely changed how you work on the cars, and they are very sensitive and very difficult to get right. And that's been our biggest learning curve right now, is how to get all your ride heights correct and not have it change the balance of the race car and the setup of the race car, because with the front sway bar and geometry and then your rear ride heights and all that whole mousetrap that goes on, it gets really confusing and you can create issues. So that part has been a big shock to everybody.
Great. Thanks a lot, Jimmy. Good luck this weekend.